In the year 2000, Rob Halford released an album which helped put heavy metal back on the map and eventually resurrect the genre.
The killer metal album.
Released on the 8th of August 25 years ago, Resurrection became the first truly solo album for the metal god. But its significance actually lies in a completely different paradigm.
But still, here we are.
So today, let's take a look at the history behind Resurrection, discuss what made it so special and what many people don't know about it, and then talk about how it paved the way for the comeback of heavy metal in the new millennium. Here you go. Real quick guys, as always, please do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video, and especially if you disagree with me, because the whole point of our Defenders of the Faith series is of course to start a conversation. But alright, let's do it. By the time the new millennium rolled around, Rob Halford had been out of Judas Priest for over a decade. And heavy metal itself was in a strange, borderline depressing place. The glory days of arena pack and traditional metal seemed to be long gone. The 90s had been dominated by grunge, alternative, groove, and nu metal. Iron Maiden were struggling through the Blaze Bayley years, Priest were fronted by Tim Ripper Owens, and the entire genre that Rob helped build from the ground up was, if we're being very honest, for the most part, nowhere near the mainstream spotlight. Rob himself had been on a restless journey, letting his creativity out like never before. After leaving Priest, Rob had fronted Fight, delivering 2 groove-heavy records that flirted with the Pantera-style aggression, and later 2, an industrial project with Trent Reznor's involvement. And while many fans love those records, and I am actually one of those, because there is quite a lot to love there, if we're being very honest, it was the time when most people, even die-hard Priest fans, thought that the classic heavy metal sound might never make a real comeback. And then, almost out of nowhere, Rob decided to do something that not many of his peers dared to do at that time. Strip away the trends, ignore what the industry wanted, and make a full-on, unapologetic heavy metal album. Exactly the way it should sound. And thus, Resurrection wasn't just Rob's third post-Priest venture. It was the first time he was truly going solo, with his own name on the cover and total creative control of the direction. Well, somewhat. And actually, if you pay attention to the lyrics, you'll spot little nods to his entire career up to that point. Lines that echo the power and darkness of Judas Priest, the grit of Fight, and even the industrial edge of 2. It was almost like he was writing an autobiography in a musical form. A way of acknowledging where he had been, while making it crystal clear where he was going next. And thus, unlike what many believed, it wasn't a goodbye to the past. Quite the opposite. It was a direct bridge back to the future. But at the same time, despite having his name on it, if we're being very honest, most likely Rob Halford wouldn't have been able to make Resurrection what it is today without a little help. By the late 1990s, Roy Z was a name well known to every heavy metal fan. A talented guitarist in his own right, he first gained attention with his own band, Tribe of Gypsies, blending hard rock with Latin influences, but his real breakthrough came when Bruce Dickinson tapped him for 1994's Balls to Picasso, and of course worked him ever since. At least until today. And the truth is that Roy always had a rare mix of skills, a deep understanding of classical metal's core elements, a modern ear for production, and the technical chops to contribute as a co-writer, player, and a producer at the same time. And that's why when Rob Halford decided that he was done with the industrial experiments of 2 and was ready to get back to pure, unfiltered, classic heavy metal sound, Roy Z was the natural choice.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And since working with Rob Halford was something Roy Z has always dreamt of, he not only didn't need any convincing to do, but actually jumped all in the process. Co-writing most of the tracks on Resurrection, handling much of the guitar work alongside Patrick Lachman and Mike Glasiak, and producing the record which would become pivotal for heavy metal and essential for the genre's return to glory. And the truth is that I actually believe that without Roy's contributions, there is a very high chance that it would have never become such. By the way, guys, real quick, just wanted to thank all my patrons and everyone who rocks out some Metal Pilgrim merch all around the world. Honestly, guys, it is thanks to you that this show is able to exist and we can keep the Defenders of the Faith series going. And in case you guys want to join it, all the links to do so will be in the description to this video. But for now, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. When Resurrection dropped in the August of 2000, it didn't just mark Rob Halford's return to heavy metal. It felt like a seismic jolt to the genre itself. In the late 90s, metal had a serious identity crisis. Grunge had stripped away the glam excesses, new metal was dominating the charts, and traditional metal bands were either breaking up, releasing music that struggled to connect with younger audiences, or even worse so, chasing trends.
Sup? Sup, dude?
I mean, even Judas Priest without Rob Halford on one hand moved to a much heavier, but on the other to a much more modern direction with Juggulator and Demolition, thus alienating a part of their classic fanbase. But then came Resurrection, unapologetically traditional, built on the foundations of twin guitar riffs, soaring high-pitched vocals, and lyrical themes that could have sat comfortably on a Defenders of the Faith or Painkiller record. It was the exact opposite of the stripped-down, angst-driven sound that dominated MTV at that time. And the truth is that, well, it actually sounded more Priest than Priest themselves back then. And that's exactly what made it so bold. Halford wasn't trying to reinvent himself to fit the year 2000, but instead he doubled down on everything that made him great at the first place. And that gamble just worked. And let's not forget that Resurrection actually came just months after Iron Maiden reunited with Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith and released their Brave New World, which followed exactly the same direction. And so suddenly, two monumental metal albums released in the genre which many believed was long dead by the year 2000 were released just a couple of months apart. And it was Resurrection, together with Iron Maiden's Brave New World, that helped kickstart a renewed interest in classic heavy metal, proving that the genre could still deliver fresh, exciting music without abandoning its roots. Oh, and talking about Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, or rather Rob Halford and Bruce Dickinson, as if on purpose, specifically to show that heavy metal is back to its former glory. Thanks to Roy Z, this album also features a song which so many heavy metal fans have been dreaming about for decades by then, bringing two of metal's most iconic voices trading lines over Roy Z-powered riff storm together for the very first time, delivering a song which, on one hand, everyone would have loved to hate, but on the other, there was a slight problem with it. There was simply nothing to hate about it. But despite going back to the roots and the classic twin guitar attack of Resurrection, the heart of its success was Halford's voice. After years in different projects, some far removed from metal, he came back sounding every bit as powerful as his Painkiller days. High notes, screams, control, everything you loved Priest for, it was all there. I mean, the title track itself was enough to convince the fans that the metal god was back. 100%. And together with the updated look of Rob Halford, which was present on the album artwork itself, and which in reality was simply Rob going back to his own roots, Resurrection became not just a great comeback album, it became an open letter to the heavy metal world. Somewhat of an Avengers Assemble scream into the void, calling for all of the heavy metal maniacs around the world to raise their banners high up and proud once again, and for his former bandmates to take a note of what is going on. Oh, and there was actually another rather important point which made Resurrection so special, and which today seems rather silly. But while Resurrection is first and foremost a heavy metal statement, it also holds a unique place in music history. By the time it was released in 2000, Rob Halford had publicly come out as gay, somewhat almost unheard of for a major metal frontman of that time.
I think that most people know that I've been a gay man all of my life.
And so I actually think that it might well be that Resurrection is actually the first major heavy metal album released by an openly gay frontman, and with it going back to the roots of heavy metal and bringing enormous success to the genre and to Rob Halford at that time. By doing such, he actually opened an absolutely new era for the genre. An era in which, despite all the machismo stigma that heavy metal had in the 1980s, we can now finally proudly say that metal is an all-inclusive genre. A genre which truly propagates the foundations of freedom, and everyone is welcome in it. And yes, I actually believe that together with this release, Halford helped quietly expand the boundaries of what metal could be. He showed that strength in metal doesn't come from conforming to an image, it comes from authenticity. And in the year 2000, this was actually as revolutionary as the music itself. So yes, when Resurrection dropped in August of 2000, this wasn't just a solo debut. It was a statement. A statement that heavy metal is back, and it is back in a new, refined form. And that our favorite genre will continue striving no matter what. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about Resurrection and about Halford's solo career? Please let us know in the comments, as well as whether you would like for Rob Halford to release a number 5 album at some point in the future. I'm really curious to find out. But for now, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!